moved here because um, I love the area. What do we do? What can I do to make a living here in Sonoma County? Because this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally got into Willie's Wine Bar and opened that restaurant. And about a month into it, I go out into the dining room, and there's Laura Chanel sitting there eating my beet and goat cheese raviolis. And there's Jim from Liberty Farms Duck.
Jim Reichert, yeah.
He wasn't eating duck because he's sick of it. He was eating something else. But it was, here are these producers of this great stuff sitting in the restaurant, and it just dawned on me that there's this circle, it's this full circle that I can't think of another place. There's very few places in our country.
The food and the wine.
That you get that. Your neighbors are producing the food that you're using. And I'm not just talking, hey, I grew some carrots.
No.
This is world-class goat cheese and duck that gets shipped all across the United States. Olive oils. Not to mention the wines. Having those winemakers sitting at your bar. We were told, never judge a book by its cover, meaning if somebody comes in here in a pair of dirty overalls and boots covered with mud, he's probably making the best Pinot in the country. And it's so true.
Exactly. That just reminds me, years ago, in 1983, when I first opened my restaurant, the Matanzas Creek Winery, the Dry Creek, Dave Stair, and the McIvers, there was all these people, and it hadn't really just popped. Sonoma County hadn't. And I remember sitting on the floor in my living room after the Harvest Fair, and the McIvers had won their first gold medal on their sweepstakes, and they were flipping their coin, and they're so proud. Here we are years later, and they sold their winery for $43 million. It's like, okay. But that's the difference between the wine and the food industry, is that they can build their business, and then they can go on. Whereas we try to sell our restaurants. Well, maybe you might get like 50,000.
I'll give you 1,000 for that old oven.
Because you go with it.
Exactly.
And whereas the wine is crafted but although a lot of winemakers, they lose it after that. But it's like the big fish eating the little fish. That's the thing that I get really upset about, is because you want to have all those boutique places. You want to have the independence, but then they get gobbled up, and then pretty soon it's generic.
Well, the wine is the part of the restaurant business that I miss. All the things I talked about before that I don't miss, but the wines I do miss. I love the wine salesmen coming in and pouring all these different things for me to try. And I remember, I came to Sonoma County when I was 21, and I had a nice wine list by the time I was 25. And I remember going back to New York, where I grew up and everything, and opening up a wine list and suddenly seeing all these names like Deloach and all these. They were personal friends of mine. They're people that I knew. Most people, when they, 9.9% of people in the United States, they open a wine list, they're just brand names like Chevy or Ford or anything else. But to me, these were all these people I knew. They were customers of mine, people I'd catered for, people that sat in my restaurant and made reservations. And that's always been the greatest joy of living in Sonoma County, is that you're tied into all these people, and you see these brands back east, And
And they're the same guy that you run into at the Safeway and the local bar.